Yeah, no hot mics, please. No hot mics. We're live. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the study session of the University City Council meeting to order at 5:30 on March 9th, 2026. Prior to turning over to the subject matter at hand for the study session, are there any changes to the regular meeting agenda? Councilmember Smotherson.
Thank you, Mayor Crow. It's not to the regular meeting schedule, but one of the things I wanted to address with this study session is, first of all, we have members of SHED here, and I think that they would, and just to introduce themselves, but what I was asking the city manager is, could we or would we allow someone to speak during this study session? And how would we proceed with that, if that's relevant? Because I think they are relevant. And who they are, and having the president and I guess vice chair here, I'm not sure if that's something that's.
Well, it's relevant, but I think if we'd known ahead of time, that would have been nice to have known if you're making this request.
Okay, and then my apologies, but that's fine. That's not a problem.
I mean, I think if they're here and we've got time, I sure don't mind it. I don't know if Brooke, the city manager does, but.
Mayor Crow, Mayor Pro Tem Smotherson, I don't mind. I haven't had the opportunity to speak with SHED regarding some of the changes that we made to the initial discussion I had with Joel. But
Okay.
I don't mind them speaking generally, I guess.
No, and that's okay. That's fine. And I do understand, and I'll know next time to make sure that that's something that we let you know in advance. Okay. The second thing that I'd like to address is, if with this, would you please, I would actually like to add, remove the wording on the first page. And that is, council adopted the plan and its recommendations at the January 13, 2025 meeting. We've not adopted this plan. We've not approved this plan, and it's not. The only thing we did in the wording is we accepted the summary, but this plan has not been approved by council and has not been adopted.
Honorable Mayor Crow, Mayor Pro Tem Smotherson, no concerns about changing the word from approved to accepted, referring to the strategy that was accepted January 13th, 2025.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the agenda? Hearing none. Ms. Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor Crow and members of the City Council. Tonight, we have Stephen Franklin, our third ward coordinator, and interim director of planning and zoning, and economic development manager Becky Alvin, here to present the plan proposal for pilot programs, the down payment assistance, and the home repair that we're looking to launch. Before doing so, there were a couple of items that I wanted to make you all aware of, as I know this is often a topic of discussion when we are talking about this plan. I wanted to go over the balance for the account, the costs to date, and the breakdown of the 10 million and how it comes in over 23 years. So as of today, the current balance on the third ward account is a little over 5.8 million. Those funds are in investment accounts, so that they are growing interest as we're going through this process. Cost to date for Yard & Co., we spent $254,975. And the only other items to come out of that fund has been the administrative cost for the third ward coordinator. Nothing else has been paid out of that fund to date. Yard & Co. cost for the third ward coordinator. Lastly, for Yard & Co. was $254,975. The breakdown of the 10 million that is to be received over the 23-year period is as follows. Upon the sale of the parcel to Costco, we received $3 million. That money was immediately put into an account. Some of it was invested. After that, we will receive $92,000 annually for 23 years from the SID, $108,000 annually for 23 years from the pool tax, and $104,300 annually for 23 years from Park and Storm. And it is important to note that the Park and Storm funds are restricted and can only be used for park and stormwater-related matters. So I wanted to make sure to put that on the record because we're often getting questions about how much money is in the account, how much have we spent, and how the funds are allocated. So I wanted to make sure I provided you all with that. And Park and Storm was $104,300. And with that, I would turn it over to Stephen Franklin and Becky Alvin to proceed with the presentation.
To my colleagues, if you get a chance to use your microphones when you're asking questions, that's helpful for the people who are watching at home. The magic of the green button at the bottom is it'll pop it in the center and then the green light will come on top.
Thank you. Again, my name is Stephen Franklin. I'm the Third Ward Revitalization Coordinator. What I wanted to accomplish this afternoon is just discuss the Third Ward Implementation Plan proposal. Basically, I'll start off with a program overview. We'll also discuss our implementation proposal with our 2 pilot programs. The eligibility guidelines for both of those proposals, the program administration of both programs, also our proposed options in our matching and income options for the home repair grant. And then also we're going to seek guidance from the council as we discuss matching and income proposed options. First slide, please. Okay, so grounded in this whole Third Ward housing revitalization plan, there's an extensive community engagement with the Third Ward to create strategies for the investing of the $10 million revitalization funds from the market at Olive, TIF, and the Third Ward. Council adopted the plan recommendations at the January 13th, 2025 meeting. The plan recommendation included developments of 9 programs through what they call the housing toolkit. So 2 of those programs we'd like to add to this proposal, the home repair program and the path to ownership program. And I'll go into those pretty extensive as we get through the slides. One of the other grants, Aging in Place and HISA grants, also the weatherization assistance program, we'll bring those online at a later date. The tenant opportunity to purchase program is more of an ordinance, and that'll definitely be something that we can add later. The launching of the 2 programs, and I'll just go over the implementation proposal slide. So we're going to launch 2 programs, test the process from start to finish, make the tweaks before fully launching both programs in fiscal year 27. So we've brought on an online application portal. Residents will have the ability to access that portal through a link off the website. This will give us the ability to have residents and potential individuals seeking the grants follow a process where we can actually have them upload documents, read to see exactly what steps they need to do to make sure they're putting in the proper grant information. And then also it'll allow us to be able to go into the program after this pilot and make adjustments. The system is designed for us to make adjustments along the way. We'll be able to track application process, how easy it was for residents to be able to put the information into the system. But we also know that through this whole process, there are a lot of individuals that won't have access to any system. So we plan to proactively have paper applications where we'll be able to access some of this information and we'll be able to upload that information manually. The goal with the online application portal is to be able to have information in the system, build a profile on individuals that are eligible for this program, but also later be able to use that system for outreach for the other programs that are coming up. It'll actually build a database where we can send information directly to individuals who requested information on these programs. The Path to Homeownership program, that is an actual purchase program for homes. There'll be up to $10,000 available for that program. Generally covering down payment and closing cost support. We're going to cap that grant at 10 grants for this fiscal year doing that pilot. We've reached out to lending institutions, so they'll be partnering with us as far as making sure that information gets out. Also, there's a workshop component that each resident will have to complete, and I'll go into that in the later slides. The other program, the home repair. Out of every program in this toolkit that was developed, the home repair program offers the most amount as far as a grant. That's up to $15,000. It's a 5-year forgivable structure, and we'll touch on that a little bit more in the details. But we're trying to cap this grant at 20 grants. This grant also is the one that delivers the most eligible fixes for an individual's home repair. Partnership with SHED was also going to be discussed as we talked about a little bit earlier to assist in the program administration. We have some information I'll share with you on that. And the main thing to remember is through the system and through the ability for the application portal to come online, we'll have a lot of structured oversight and information that we can provide to the council later as far as pulling reports, gathering information, and looking at the whole process of this as it goes through the system. Okay, so we're going to start with the eligibility guidelines for the Path to Home Ownership program. And I truly believe once this gets started, this is going to be one of the most popular programs in the whole system. Mainly set up for first-time home buyers. One of the guidelines is the property has to be outside the 100-year FEMA floodplain. We talked about the required home ownership education through financial institutions. Spoke with pretty much every branch that's located within the University City area in the 3rd Ward area. The workshop, we didn't want to create to have another tool that the city had to do. So we're going to partner with these financial institutions who have these workshops and the financial literacy piece of this already in place. So we'll partner with them. They'll be able to provide that information. But also, these are the same institutions that are going to be able to provide these loans. The great thing about this $10,000 grant, it's possibly stackable with other programs that the banks already have in place. So it wouldn't be that far-fetched for a homeowner to come up to a closing situation and have well over $15,000 to $20,000 to come down at the table, which is actually a very tremendous program. 5-year owner occupancy requirement, which in most programs throughout the St. Louis metro area and throughout the Midwest, these are sort of the HUD guidelines that our program follows on the 5-year occupancy requirement. And just a little on the application process. Because we do have the online portal, applicants will be able to submit their mortgage information as far as a pre-approval letter. The great thing about this program itself, it's not a lot of heavy lifting on the back end for the city. The individual still has to get a loan from a financial institution. And once that's picked up from the individual, they'll be able to upload those documents as far as home buyer education certificates. And then the city would be able to submit any type of grant commitment, letting that individual know that they're in pretty good shape as far as getting this. The funds are actually sent through the title company, so the resident doesn't have to touch or receive any of the money. So the home repair grant, like I said, one of the biggest grants in the whole program. Eligibility guidelines, pretty similar to most programs, a 5-year residency in the 3rd Ward. That 5-year residency actually supports individuals that have been living in the 3rd Ward for quite some time. Because this program plans to go for, several decades, it's easy for a person to be able to fit into that category as time goes on. The continued residency for after the project is completed, normally any of the grant programs, there is a 5-year commitment. That 5-year commitment is broken, then there will be some type of part of that grant that you would have to pay back, broken down incrementally in fifths for the 5-year program. But once that 5-year commitment is met, then all of that drops off. It has to be an owner-occupied property. We definitely don't want to incentivize any type of flipping or investments in this whole process. And then the main things that anybody in these programs throughout the market already have in place, needing to know that you have to have a clear title, current on real estate taxes, current on your property, personal property taxes, current on your mortgage payments, and must have homeowners insurance. The eligible improvements that can be done with this grant is probably the most extensive of any of the type of products that we have. Things like cleaning, painting, staining of exterior surfaces, repairing any replacing masonry, windows, doors, wall, ceiling, roofing, any type of flooring repairs. Also, plumbing and electrical and mechanical repairs, including air conditioning and heating. Also, flood repair, mitigation, and sump pumps. We did, as a team, talk about the priority given to these, the priority given that we want to give to exterior repairs and roof replacements. And our example for that was somebody could be trying to do some repairs to their floor, but that floor repair came from a leaking roof or a ceiling leaking. So why would we allow that person to use the grant for that repair when we know that the replacement or fixing of that roof would make more sense for that person to use money for that? So that's why the priority is given to exterior repairs and roof replacements.
If I may interject really quickly, Stephen, I also want to point out that exterior repairs are also prioritized because aesthetically it increases the curb appeal and it has probably a bigger impact on the neighborhood than say internal repair. So the collective property values versus the individual property value that comes with the interior repairs.
Thank you. Okay, and the home repair program also has the matching and income options. We definitely have a slide dedicated to that, and we'll get into that more. With the reimbursable grant, also a sliding scale match for individuals, and then our tiered repayment forgivable loan. But like I said, we'll touch on that a little bit later. The application process on the home repair grant is pretty similar. With the addition of SHED and helping with the administrative functions, things like the property inspection and having access to those repair needs, approving applications and contractor selection. Also, applicant will submit payments. The city will verify their work and everything is completed, and then those payments can be sent on to the contractor. So as far as program administration, of course, the path to homeownership, that grant remains with the city as far as the application system and the program oversight. The staff will review the applications that are submitted, make sure they're complete and the eligibility and completeness for those applications are met. Also, coordination with the participating lenders and title companies, something we've already started to make sure that proactively everybody will know this type of grant is out there as far as the mortgage lenders are concerned. And then also the grant funds on that path to home ownership, they're sent directly to the company at closing. The home repair grant, the proposed agreement with SHED, it allows SHED and the city to connect residents, community partners, and resources, something that SHED is very good at doing already in the community. We've reached out to different resource partners in the area to make sure that we're not duplicating any services, that we can bring everything that we can to bear as far as making sure this program is up and running. SHED would, in a few cases, would provide a homeowner communication. Our communication team with the city would also provide that communication. They'll also provide a contract coordination and construction monitoring. And another great thing is we're looking at a dedicated SHED workspace within the city. Of course, SHED is being out in the community, but a lot of these applications will come through, particularly on the fourth floor. Individuals will be able to have someone, if they spoke with SHED, they'll be able to continue that conversation, but also have access to the individuals running the program on the back end. Okay, so this is the one thing that we were particularly looking for council guidance on. So after the matching and income requirements are met, this is actually the last slide. So I'll leave this slide up to take on some information as far as any questions. We'll be able to look directly at that. But like I said, these are options. Option one, a reimbursable grant. This is where an applicant would pay the 100% of the project. They would pay that 100% of the project up front, and then the city would match that part of a portion of their money after the work is complete. In our facade and business program, there's a piece there where the city reimburses up to 50%. So we could follow the 100% match or the 50% match as the options go. The one thing that I did realize after getting into the community, talking with individuals about the match, because of course that was the question that came up most as I was approaching different associations and different meetings within the community. And some people didn't have a problem with the match. Those individuals, I think, were ready to do projects anyway. They were ready to make their investment like they've had in their home. They had easy access to HELOC and different type of products as far as home equity, could have access to credit cards and savings. And they were just really waiting for us to start this program and putting off doing this themselves because they realized that there would be a match for, say, a project at $15,000 where the city would come in and reimburse them. So there are individuals that were able to do this. We came up with option 2 for the sliding scale match. That's actually based on the AMI for the area medium income. This is 2025 HUD numbers. We looked at an individual that's 0 to 50% at the AMI. City funds would repair the total project. So if the grant for home repair is $15,000 and their work entitled them for a $15,000 grant, the city would reimburse or pay that contractor. That individual wouldn't have to put any of their money up front for that particular project. But then as we scaled it up for additional income, we looked at the 50 to 60 AMI. The city funds there would be a 90-10 match. And all the way up from the 61 to 70% AMI, city funds would be 75 to 25. And then also the 71% and up, city funds would be 50-50 as far as a match. Like I said, just a different option. The tiered repayment forgivable loan, we looked at the 80% AMI, households at or below 80%, city funds repairs that up to $15,000, and that loan is forgivable for 5 years. So that wouldn't be a grant where the individual would have to put up their own money. Whatever that repair was, the city would provide that funding and repair that for that cost. And then also on that, households over 80% AMI, we looked at a repayment structure. That household over 80% AMI would also have, let's say, a $15,000 max repayment. But over 2 years, they would pay parts of that loan back. And then in years 3, 4, and 5, they wouldn't have to pay any of the amount back for that, giving the person with that additional income a way to get into the program also. So, and then there was the 4th option, which that didn't make the slides, but that's really easy to explain. It's just a full match of whatever the grant is, no upfront from the residents. So my next slide was just questions. So if anybody had any questions on any of the options, we'll go ahead and take those.
Mayor Crowe, members of the City Council, we are seeking guidance on this because the plan that was accepted had no income requirement, but a sliding scale based on AMI. In my own experience, most home repair programs by a city or anything using tax dollars really usually has an income requirement. The concern is that by not having some type of AMI income requirement going by census tract, having something in place, it incentivizes people who may be able to make the repairs on their own to not do so and wait for this program. So with that in mind, we were thinking between that and leveraging the funds, stretching the dollars. So how can we make sure that, you know, if someone has the funding to do so, that they have something, have some skin in the game, if you will. And also making sure that we're stretching every dollar of the Third Ward Revitalization Fund as far as we can. So instead of coming up with actual dollar amounts, which is what most entities use, they would go by household size and dollar amount. we came up with this structure. And of course, the fourth option, as Stephen mentioned, is a free-for-all, basically. No income requirement, no match, just if you apply for the fund and you meet the requirements, then you are eligible for the grant up to 15,000. Lastly, I'd like to point out that I lost my train of thought, so I'm gonna stop. When I remember, I'll let you guys know.
As I call on Councilmember Clay, just real quick, everything we're talking about tonight, though, is really bookended by these are the rules and the structure just for the pilot program. And as the pilot program matures and or lapses, if you will, or ends, this program can easily change as it then gets moved out to a broader network. Am I correct? This is just for the limited purpose of the pilot program.
Honorable Mayor Crowe, yes, you are correct. This is for the limited purpose of the pilot program, taking the recommendations that were in the strategy and seeing how they work. And I just remembered what the last thing was. We will use a lottery it's not first come, first served. So we would open applications, bring them all in, and then we would do a lottery process to select the applicants, and then those that were not selected for this pilot process would be put on the wait list, and they would be the first to be contacted when we fully launch the program for home repair.
Councilmember Clay.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe, and thank you, Mr. Franklin, and the team for your presentation. This has been certainly a long time in coming. I know Councilman Smotherson and I, my colleagues, have been anticipating this. And even though I say that, I do recognize that we need to look no further than our neighbors to the east in St. Louis to understand the ramifications of a grant program that is not well thought out and well executed. So having said that, have some questions about the program itself, or the programs that you're proposing. And some of my questions are germane to both. So I'll start with those. Is there a lien associated with either program, given there's a 5-year commitment associated with it?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
So yes, that lien, a 5-year forgivable lien, and it's based off of most programs that run similar type of products and services as this. It's not a lien that affects credit or the ownership of the house. That lien basically is a mechanism that lets the city know that this person who received a grant of $15,000 is doing something different. So that lien would let us know that they're either not owner occupied, they're trying to rent it, or they're going to put that up for sale. So if it's a $15,000 loan, then and they're in year 2, then they would just have to pay back that in fifths, whatever was left on that grant. That's how that would work, and that is the lien.
Okay. And I recognize I have a series of questions. You may not have the answers to all of them as you're working them out. So I completely understand that. And some of these thoughts are actually not my own. Got some feedback from an engaged citizen who had some great thoughts as well. So second relates to there's a 5-year period associated with each program. Is there some sort of annual check to determine that the person is still in the house and doing what they need to do during the 5-year period?
Yeah, so we record that lien through St. Louis County.
Okay.
So there's a process that we're going to put in place. That lien is signed information from that resident, and then we track that as far as the 5 years go. So that stays in their file, stays in our automated system as the information that's put in, and we'll be able to track that throughout the whole process, and then we have documentation when that lien is over to be sent directly to that resident also.
Okay. The down payment assistance program is up to $10,000. Could I get 4? Could I get 5? And what determines the amount? Less than including 10.
Right, and that was one of the questions that came up as we had outreach with lenders in the market. So yes, it could be a lower amount. Every program is different, and it's going to really go by the program that individual is getting in as far as the lender goes. So every bank has a different program. Some banks, FHA programs, have a lot more down payment money and assistance that can be stacked with this. Some lenders don't have those programs, or they have programs where the down payment portion is a big part. So yes, there could be a difference in everyone coming in at a certain point. So as closing and that information that's provided by that lender and that product will let us know exactly where they need to be. My thought process on that is, of course, as a mortgage lender, if there's 10,000 available, we're going to definitely shoot for $10,000 because it's just going to make the home more affordable. But a lot of the programs and lending that those lenders will be able to do is going to dictate that, depending on type of program. FHA programs, first-time programs, just like in the amounts that the actual programs can provide other than our grant are different based on the type of loan that person gets.
So let me double click on that for a moment. Say I'm coming to the table because you said this program is stackable. So I've got, WashU's program and maybe another. So I'm bringing $20,000 to the table on a $110,000 house. And I'm applying for this program as well. Is 10,000 kind of the default? And then if there's some extraordinary circumstance, you would do less, or how would I have a sense of what I might be eligible for this program, given I'm bringing $20,000 to the table?
Right. So the current recommendations in the plan didn't discuss fees that aren't used for the path to home ownership. So that's something that we would have to actually, work through to make sure that we're making great use of the funds. Because of course, if the person doesn't use the $10,000, that means there's just more money for the next individual. So as it stands right now, there was no guidance as far as the amount that could be used. But basically, from information that I've looked at in other programs that we did research on, that is determined by the type of loan that that person is getting when they finalize and close on the house.
Okay. That may be a piece to work out. Again, I understand not everything is in place. As it relates to the home repair program, is it a once in a lifetime opportunity? So if I get it in the pilot and I'm in U City for 40 years, I can't get it again. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
If there, and this is getting into the weeds, admittedly, but a lot can happen in 5 years. And we've talked about the lien process. With the home repair program, if there is a death of the primary owner, and then you get a transfer of property, not necessarily expecting you to have an answer to that, but just one of the things to kind of think through in the process.
Right. And that actually was brought up in the recommendations. And those type of situation and scenarios can always be brought up to the city manager and leadership team to make that one-off decision based on that actual resident.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I have, unless the conversation spurs something else. But thank you again. I appreciate the work on
Thank you.
this.
Thank you. Councilmember Smotherson.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Crow. Just a quick question for you, Mr. Franklin, and it's good to meet you formally, sir.
Right.
So it's good to see you and that we have this program started. What I just simply wanted to ask, if you or the city manager could answer the question is with the AMI, and what is the scale that St. Louis County uses, if in fact they use that?
Yes, and St. Louis County does use that. So, for example, on that sliding scale, the 0 to 50 AMI, they base that normally off of a family of 4, and that's coming in around $55,000 a year. And so all these are based off the 2025 numbers of HUD and the county.
And that's it. That's what St. Louis County is using.
Yes.
0 to 50.
At 0 to 50 right now, it's $55,700.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember McMahon.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe. Thank you for the presentation, the information, helping us to make better decisions. I appreciate it. One of the things with some of the issues that have recently come up, I would like to maybe see as a requirement for these, that not only are the residency requirements and owner occupied, but possibly that we make sure their trash bills are paid. Would be a requirement, or code enforcement that's connected with it, because we don't want to, at least in my opinion, provide help with repairs and then 5 years down the road, they're not maintained.
Right.
And we're back to where we are, and we just repeat the cycle. So some of those things I would think we'd want to make sure that taxes are paid. And I know some of that, if it's a loan, it'll be in your mortgage, but we've also got personal property tax. We want to make sure those are paid, and all of those things. If we're giving out taxpayer money to help other taxpayers, I think we should all be contributing to the taxes that we go. Is there any projections as to the number of homes in the repair program or the longevity of the program based upon the different options? Or we just don't have the data yet to do that until maybe the pilot programs?
Well, how many homes could possibly participate as a general neighborhood or area? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, long term. I mean, one of the things we want to do is to maximize how long this money is available,
Right.
so this program can last as long as possible. So do we have projections between option 1, 2, 3, and 4? Which ones looks at least best to keep this going as long as possible?
Well, I mean, the one thing, the recommendations for total grants, excluding the path to homeownership, is completely different, will get us at about 500 grants total for the life of the TIF. So if everyone maxes out with the ability to get $15,000, then it'll be a set number. But we don't foresee in most programs that everyone uses the full amount, especially with home repair. But then you got to remember too, there's 3 other grants that have a dollar amount: the aging in place, the weatherization. They have amounts also. So when you put, as the pilot stops and we roll in the other programs, we'll be able to identify that and make sure that we have enough grants online.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Brenner. You're off now? You forgot. I have a couple of quick, Councilmember Clay, your light is on. Are you wanting another bite of the apple in a second?
I am, but if you want to.
Okay, thanks. Let me go through just a couple of questions if I can, please. If you could, Mr. Franklin, did the number 10,000 and 15,000 that come from the financial institutions, or where did those numbers pop out from, or from the report work?
Yeah, so those came out of the recommendations.
From
Every
third
pro-
ward, from the
The
task
third
force
ward
itself?
plan, yes.
Thank you. So that all came through there. So if we go through that, then unless I'm missing it, the pilot program is $400,000, give or take. Is my math off on that?
Yes, give or take, with the understanding that we don't have a number from SHED yet as
Right.
far as program
Right.
administration.
So just the numbers in your presentation for path to home ownership and home repair, if you add them together for the pilot program, is $400,000.
Yes.
Okay. And then on the required home ownership education through financial institution, for the homeowner, ballpark of what is the time commitment for that course? Is it online? Is it in person? How does it? I'm trying to determine the number of people who are really going to say, you've got to be kidding, I've got to do that.
Yes, and in most programs, there is that requirement. So what we've done, and why we reached out to the financial institutions, is one, the city didn't want to create the program,
agree.
and also give the ability for the homeowner to have the relationship with a bank to find out if their institution already offers that program. So we've aligned banks that have workshops already in place. We've also aligned with other nonprofits that have these programs because they're specific to any type of FHA financing. A lot of the financing that will possibly be stacked with our grant, every institution has, if it's HUD related, has a workshop that's mandatory.
And so those workshops, online and in person?
Yeah, so depending on the institution itself, but we have some non-financial institutions like the Justin Petersons and other programs like that who also run these workshops, and we'll have that information available on the website so that the individual trying to get this grant will have a good idea of time
Correct.
commitment. The ones that are online, that are ones that are already associated with programs they've been in before, or my bank has a program where I can just easily get into.
And then again, the time commitment, is it 5 hours? Is it?
It's some I've seen are timelines of a week spread out, giving an individual
Yeah.
time to go in the day, time to go in the evening. Some of the online courses are 2 parts, because most financial literacy programs are built on not just the basics of maintaining a home, but also they're going to be selling them products for the lending. Right. So that's all included, the type of loans that they should get, the difference between the FHA requirements and the guidelines on that versus a normal loan that they might qualify for.
And I'm going to follow up on, I'm amazed, Councilmember McMahon, my question too is, are they current on their trash bills? So we're at least all thinking probably at least in the same way there. And then occupancy permits for those people who are already residents of University City in the 3rd Ward. I would think we have an occupancy permit issue here at times. The last thing is, and this council has a little bit of a history with clawbacks. Is there, how do you see the clawback working? I think there's one thing to say that we're going to put a lien on the property. I think it's another thing for us to say to track it and to enforce it. That I'm just curious as to how, I think if someone passes away and the house goes to their child and there hasn't been a retitling effort, unless I'm missing it, the lien's still out there and we don't know that anything's occurred. All right. So the lien I'm trying to think of the if you will, the what we would call the back office on the liens as to how you monitor and how you claw back with this program as a pilot. I don't believe I'm that concerned, but I think we're all concerned as this thing expands as to how the liens would be monitored.
Honorable Mayor Crowe, John Mulligan and I briefly discussed a similar clawback to what we did with the relocation assistance. And I don't recall the exact details of that, but I recall that we had a clawback for the relocation assistance with the marketed olive development. Additionally, even if they didn't change title, they would have to change their occupancy permit. So I do think there is a way that we could track that internally and be alerted. Now, if they did not do that, we can certainly incorporate into the program maybe an annual check-in or monitoring, not just to make sure that the person is still there and owns the property, but also just to see how everything is working out for them with the repairs. Again, community engagement, just going out, checking in with them, making sure everything is held up. I think we can incorporate that into the program.
Okay, I like the community engagement part. I don't know how practical it would be as it expands. Next question, it says the path to home ownership is going to be reviewed by staff. I guess my question is staff you or is staff more, or is there more staff?
Yeah, there is more staff, the business development staff, but also the whole process with the software system allows us to track a lot of applications at one time. That system does proactive emails, reporting. We'll be able to take a look at all documents assigned to each applicant in their process of where they are. So we're looking at possibly 20, 30 grants a year, maybe 2 or 3 grants a month max, with the system and the other individuals. And also, especially for the home repair, the administration with SHED, we should be okay as far as tracking.
No, I've got the home repair part. Mine was on the path to home ownership. It says staff reviews applications, and you replied back and said business development. That's business development from the financial institutions, I'm assuming, or is it business development through us?
So the business development team will also work on this program is what I meant.
Mayor Crowe, if I may, he's referring to the economic development team as a whole with,
Okay.
he is
You're talking about
Becky,
Becky and family.
Juan and Lee. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I was lost on that before. I was trying to figure out who. So you're talking about okay. I got that part there. I guess I want to go and I think there's a couple of questions left. Of the 3 options that you were giving us, having been involved with the EDRST and how that process works, I think we have to say that the EDRST fund with the facade improvement isn't really what I would say a swinging success. for the folks putting up the money and then getting reimbursement from us. So I'm not sure, and I'm not sure I'm even on the same page as Councilmember McMahon when he said he wants this to last as long as it can. I think I would say I'm happy for it to last as long as it can, but I'd like to help as many people as I can with as much money as we have prudently, whether it lasts longer or hits the street sooner. So I guess my question is, of these three options, if the pilot program is for the residents to learn and the city to learn, is option two the one that gives us the most interaction and flexibility, interaction with the banks, interactions with the residents, and gives us the opportunity then to then, shall we say, go higher or go lower as we've learned from the pilot? I guess I'm trying to say option one is one that, frankly, from my experience with the EDRC, hasn't really worked. I think it sounds really pretty easy, but it just doesn't work. I think people are going to say no. So if I'm down to options 2 and 3, and I'm not saying my colleagues even agree with me on this, they may have a totally different idea. If I'm between 2 and 3 and I'm trying to learn, is 2 the one that gives us the most exposure to improving this program? That's not a setup question for you, Mr. Frank. It's just kind of, is that the one that puts the money out on the street, but also helps us to learn from what mistakes we will likely have occur during that process? And that can be viewed as a rhetorical question by all of my colleagues.
Mayor Crowe, I think off the cuff, I think maybe, when I look at the forgivable loan, that would require us to obviously create a loan program. We would have to be tracking, making sure the payments are coming in. It would be a zero interest loan, but we'd have to make sure the payments were coming in. And if I'm being honest, from my history with home repair programs, I've seen those fail the most. Option 2 probably would be the best way to start and assess. And then if we find that it's too complicated or we didn't get enough people coming in, then we can certainly come back and tweak. And we presented option 1, but I personally am not a fan of option 1. I think most people that are in need of this type of home repair program might have a hard time coming up with $7,500, or even paying the entire $15,000 up front. So again, when we have that with facade improvement, we're talking about businesses, even though they're small businesses, they have an easier time with that. Whereas a resident who probably has foregone these repairs for years and years may have a hard time coming up with $15,000 to pay up front. So I would personally lean towards option 2. And then of course there is the unlisted option of no income requirement, no match, just apply for the funds. And that is the one that is you'll see the money go fast. It will go very fast with that type of program. The other 2 options just allow us to leverage the dollars and stretch it out a little bit more.
Okay, just so everyone knows, in the interest of time, at 6:20, I'd like all the council members to be able to ask their questions. I really would like to hear from Shed if we can. So we may go, to everyone who's watching, we may go over a little bit of our 6:30 time, because I think the rest of our agenda for the evening is relatively light. I think Councilmember Brenner, you were next.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. And the question I had was, you talked about with this being a lottery the first year for the pilot. If we have a priority for the external on the home repair, should we just for the first year say that's what's going to go into the lottery? Because otherwise you're ranking projects and that's kind of hard to do with a random system. So that's just a thought, like where you could come with a conflict with your lottery system versus like having a priority system. And then second, I just want to say option 2 makes the most sense to me, particularly if we are trying to improve the housing stock in the 3rd ward and really get those properties that are struggling to do the improvements. Like if that's going to be our priority. Now, if we have another priority, that's fine. But if that's our priority, I I feel like housing or option two maybe gives us the most bang for our buck too. Like, so that's my thought. Thank you.
And I think the thing to remember also is the home repair grant is just one grant. So the other grants that we can bring online could have other guidelines. So if we do see, as the pilot has been kicked off, that there's a group of individuals that are being, we're making it a little bit harder for them to get into the program. The other grants, they're not aligned with every type of eligibility as guidelines go, but they do the same thing. So we have the ability to come back and bring those online also. But then as far as the sliding scale, there's a lot of cities and markets using that. That 0 to 50, which would be the free grant, or they don't have to put any money up front, would cover a decent percentage of the third ward.
Councilmember Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pilot program is for what length of time? 1 year?
So it'll be to the remainder of this year.
Okay, fine. Another quick question. How are we going to get this information out to the citizenry in the third ward other than, it's on the web?
Right. So
How are we
we're
going to
looking-
educate our folks? That's
Yes.
the other question.
Yeah, and we're definitely looking at a communication plan using the communications team here at University City. We would probably have the biggest impact on doing a mailer, sending out to the third ward residents. Everybody gets it at the same time, driving them back to the link to the website, then also proactively meeting in locations, library, recreation center, not only meeting there and letting everyone know we're going to be there, but being able to take applications in and move a person forward through the program.
Final question. When we go to the home repair program, I know we have a lot of self-styled engineers and carpenters out there, but how can we vet some of these folks as well as contractors that want to participate in this program? Can we guarantee that repairman that's going to come in and make home repairs is literally not going to walk away with our money?
So at the beginning of this
plan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. With the program itself, in the process and the portal, there's a minimum of 3 bids that have to be uploaded. And that'll allow us to be able to look at that information because the contractor has to put business information in. We'll be able to look at that through information that we have at the city, but also make sure that we get the best bid possible for the program.
Councilmember Teeman.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just ever so briefly, having dealt with this as much as you have, do you have a personal preference of these 4 options?
Well, my personal preference and reading the recommendations from the very beginning and then having conversations with the residents, I'm at the firm belief that there are individuals that when I spoke about the match didn't have any issue with it and were ready to go. Then I spoke with individuals that did have some problem or thinking, why would I have to come up, or where am I going to get this money to come up with this program? So I think a mixture of both. All these options, they're set in different bullets, but we can take one bullet and put it with one of the other options. It's something that we can do to make sure that this is for the third ward. Whatever's going to help the residents the most, I think that would be the one that I would go for. So a lot of information within those options that I like, the sliding scale, but I think the ability to have individuals get in on the program at the very beginning without putting money in is always the best case scenario.
Councilmember Clay, thank you for your patience.
Oh, of course. Thank you. 3 quick points. One to the conversation about the longevity of the program overall. It was always my understanding that the funds coming from the Markets Law of Development were always about leveraging and seeking more. This was not to be the end all be all, because we know $10 million cannot be the end all be all. We want to do with it what we can, but always seek more funds. That was my understanding to help with sustainability of the program. Second, as it in the conversation about financial literacy courses, it seems like we have nonprofit partners beyond housing, Prosperity Connection, I'm very familiar with, and others who offer that free of charge, because there are courses that cost.
Right.
And I think we would want to avoid those. And I think we would want to skew more to our nonprofit partners that would likely have free programs. Financial institutions may have something, but we don't also want product pushing as well. So I think perhaps leveraging our nonprofit partners might be the best route. The final thing is it relates to the income requirements. My preference is option 2 with an addendum, maybe 80% and above is a 25% homeowner stake and or 75% homeowner stake and a 25% city funds, just to make things last a little longer. Because if you're above 80%, ostensibly there's more resources there. We know everyone's situation is individually different, but just a thought there. But the framework of option 2 is the one I prefer.
If there are no other questions, I know we're running a little light on time, but I know that our colleague, Councilmember Smotherson, had asked if Shed would like to make any comments or questions, and I'm happy to make that time available for you, or you're welcome to speak at another time, because we recognize that this is going to be a relationship that we hope to have for a long time with you. So you're welcome to come up, but there's no pressure at all, none whatsoever. Just have to give your name and address, and then have at it, okay?
Okay, so my name is Joel Pugh, and the address is 3341 Marshall Ave. Okay, so I did want to point out some things first to Councilmember Clay's comment. With us administering, we are applying for home repair funds, so we hope to leverage the funds that you guys have as well. And then to Councilmember Fuller's question or comment as well about outreach, there's a number of Third Ward activities that Third Ward members go to already. And I think as Smotherson would definitely be able to tell you, and I think that there's definitely a lot of points that we can do outreach and really let the Third Ward know. There also are a number of neighborhood organizations that are kind of trying to get started and growing. And so I think outreach through them would also be helpful. Also for the contractor verification, this is something that I had to do a lot at the county, and there are a couple of resources as well that I think can be able to help us with that. One being the Secretary of State to verify that they actually are registered business instead of just a person doing it. And then also because as an organization, we work in this space, in the construction space. We have a number of partners that also work with contractors that we'd be able to leverage and ask if we're not sure about a contractor. The other thing I want to say is that, we really look forward to the potential of partnering with University City. I hope over the time that Shed has been in existence, that we've proven to be adept at partnering, both within the city and outside of the city, and just with residents in general. So I don't have much else I want to say. I do want to touch base more with Brooke to kind of work through some of these details before I would actually give any type of opinions about something. So, all right, thank you.
Joel, thank you very much. To all of my, Brooke, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Just a few more things. I'm sorry. So I do want to point out that part of the partnership with Shed will allow us to, my hope is that it will allow us to leverage the dollars, because as a nonprofit, Shed can actually go after other funding that we can't go after as a municipality. So between them applying for grants and us applying for grants, I think that we would be able to leverage the dollars. I also wanted to point out that there are no self-repairs in this program. So these will have to be certified and registered contractors, licensed, that our department I mean, I'm not sure if we have a contractor's registration, which is something I'm accustomed to in previous cities, but we will make sure that we're working with actual reputable contractors. And lastly, I wanted to confirm that if I have a consensus that we're looking at option 2 from everyone, because our next step will be to actually build out the marketing information, everything, and bring that to you all, as well as the application, and bring it to you all for actual approval before we launch the program. So am I getting a consensus? If you, I don't need a vote, but just pretty much option 2, everyone? Okay, thank you.
And then you will bring it back then to us for a final vote.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll get with the team, but it should be fairly quickly. I won't commit to the next meeting, but maybe at least the first one in April, but I'll work with the team and with Joel to bring everything to you all for approval.
Thank you very much. To my colleagues, I think the agenda is not necessarily that long. Are you good to keep going without a break? I'm seeing, I'll do the same thing that our city managers did. Do we have consensus? If we have consensus, we will adjourn the study session and move directly into the meeting. And Keena, I know